Okay, are we all ready, you guys?
Yep.
Okay, Jane, do you want to kind of lead us off and run us through the agenda?
Well, everybody should have the agenda, I hope.
Yeah.
So the first thing out of the gate is you with a opening greeting.
Okay.
And then the treasurer's report, secretary report, breeding report, training committee, judges, and then finally communication.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I was actually hoping there'd be more club members here because people have always asked to see and hear what's going on with the club. So people hopefully will trickle in. I don't think I need to really make my introductions. Everybody here, I think, knows me. My name is Anna Arts. I am vice president of the National Club, but now acting president for the club. Jim Seibel asked me to step in and aid as acting president because of some health issues. His wife Arlene needs him a lot as well. So I will be acting president until that role is no longer needed or until re-election. So I actually prepared my little notes this morning, my little chat, and I just wanted to say a few words about, oh, good morning, Andrew. Okay.
It's connected.
I'll wait till he joins.
Yeah. There he is.
Andy.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, very good, very good. We are just getting started, so good timing for you, okay?
Well, I was going to make a good effort to remember this morning, but got busy doing other jobs.
Very good, very good. I sort of put together some thoughts this morning about sort of the opening greeting and where our club has been in the last year and where we're going. It turned into a little bit of a sort of a philosophical kind of a moment for me this morning, and I wanted to share my observations personally as a member, kind of where we've been and where we're going. I want to say right now that I'm extremely excited about where the club is going. Very excited for some reasons that I'll elaborate in a moment. But one key point that I wanted to share with the club members is that my observation personally is that I think the struggles that we've been facing in the preceding years is probably because we're bumping up against the business as usual philosophy is not working with where this club is right now. Which is not to say that what the club had been doing in the past was not working. It worked well for that time. And I'm specifically alluding to the club being guided under the strong leadership of someone by the name of Joan Bailey, who was a very strong individual, and much of what she did for the club was is why we're here today. But when she stepped away, it left a void. Everybody always looked at Joan. She always had the answers. She did a lot of the things for the club. And so I think that void left us where we weren't sure where we were going. We kind of lost the rudder to the ship a little bit. The good part is I feel like we have sort of faced the music and recognized that we actually need to tap into our human capital. There are people that want and can help this club forward, but we need to find them and bring them into the fold. So out of that recognition that we need to kind of organize ourselves and accept help and leadership from lots of folks in the club, I think you guys are aware that a few years ago, the BOD organized the club in a way that we have a judges committee. We have of course, we have the breeding committee, and we also created something called the training committee. The training committee is led by Andy Ogden. They are tasked with developing training materials and resources for puppy owners, handlers. That area needs work. We're going to look for volunteers to help with that. Breeding committee, I'll let Lori sort of chat with her. One of the biggest areas of progress and improvement, I would say, is the judges committee, and I will let Tana elaborate on that later in terms of what it's doing to help our club. But I see a huge resurgence in volunteers for our club, people stepping up. With the GDS, there was Spiro, who stepped in when Rem asked to step away. Rick Soja's been helping. We have new test chairs that are extremely active and giving a lot of their time to the club, people like Grant Ritchie. We have regional officers stepping up. We have other volunteers that are assisting. For example, there's been a need for someone to help with the puppy list, and Angie McDunn has stepped in regards to that. So what I'm getting at is the club, I think, is moving in a good direction. We're kind of getting into a better place with shared workload. Many hands make sort of a lighter workload. We still need help with filling Roger Furman's role as national treasurer. We're still looking for someone. And Rem DeYoung is desperately asking to step away from the website. We need to find someone to help Rem, or rather take over Rem's lead role for website administrator. But I simply wanted to say that I really see good things for this club in the next couple of years. So my vision would say for the next 5 years, we're going to build breed recognition. People don't know about our dogs still, and we'll get the club to grow. There's been a heavy investment in print ads, so financial investment, money spent on print ads. I think Don Pfizer will elaborate on that a bit, which is getting our club name and our breed out there for people to come to us with interest. We now have FCI recognition for our dogs, which is so huge. That means our members, our handlers, can work with NAVDA to get training help, which those chapters are more regionally accessible to our members than just those of us in the 5 chapters. We also want to get those puppies and dogs in front of NAVDA judges and other NAVDA members who've never seen a Cesky Fousek. I think that's going to be huge. I am excited about the prospects of doing more trade shows in a unique fashion, as in thinking outside the box. The Pheasant Fest has been our bread and butter trade show forever, and it's been very instrumental and helpful in getting new people on the puppy list, but it's regionally specific. So we sort of did a trial experiment this year. On a whim, we just found this trade show in California, the International Sportsman's Expo, and we put a booth there that put 40,000 eyeballs on our booth in 4 days that somewhat duplicates the human mass that Pheasant Fest will give. And I think doing events like that and elsewhere in the country will really help build, again, breed recognition and interest in our dogs. So good things are happening. I also want to end by saying that I have felt and seen in small ways how this club is starting to resurge and grow. Specifically, I would say this chapter here, my home chapter, I have seen families with children coming back on a 2nd and 3rd year to offer their services to volunteer, and they're not testing a dog. They are here for the friendship, for the camaraderie, and for the how to give back. And that is why I joined this club as much as the dog, is the friendship in the club. And I am so thrilled to see that happening again. And I think it will continue to build. So that's kind of where I feel we are right now and where we're potentially going. So, all right, I'll turn it over to Roger Furman for Treasurer's Report.
There are extra copies of the Treasurer's Report up on the table if anyone wants them. Want to already mention that you need a magnifying glass to see the spreadsheet. But
there's an extra
on
one?
the table. over
On the
there,
table.
Can you speak up a little, Roger, for
Just talk loud
talk a little louder.
or
Roger,
face that way
can
so they
you-
can hear.
Can you send an email of that out to the board of directors for those of us who are not there? Not right now, but later.
Yes.
Great.
So far, I haven't been able to get on the internet here in the hotel, but I will when I'm home.
Later, by the way, though.
And put it in.
So, this is the Treasury Report is a bunch of small numbers. And so I'm not going to read from it. I'll reference a little write-up that I've made. Is that volume a
Yes.
appropriate volume? Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Roger.
This is an attachment to the CFNA Treasurer's Report for the fiscal year 2022. Notes on the Treasurer's Report help explain the transactions. The following explanations may provide additional information that is useful. Total income was $30,615, up about $5,700 from $24,861 in 2001. This increase was supported by the following accounts. Income in fundraisers and donations of $2,670 was up by more than $2,500. The Rocky Mountain chapter made a $2,000 donation to the CFNA, and 2 donations were made in honor of loved ones. One donation was received from a non-club individual who appreciates our efforts on behalf of the Cesky Fousek breed. Domestic puppy income of $14,526 was up about $7,000 from the previous year. Lack of income from the imported puppy account is discussed in the expense side of this report. Dues income of $13,145 was up about $700 from $12,440. On the expense side, total expenses were $35,151, up about $2,300 from 2021, when our expenses were $32,821. Insurance expense was increased about $600 to $1,427. Individual chapters were added to the policy as also insured. It was the reason for the increase in the insurance. In an effort to increase the visibility of the Cesky Fousek breed, the board of directors supported booths in both the Pheasant Fest of $1,019 and the International Sportsman's Exposition, $1,825 in Sacramento, California. The CFNA also placed an ad in the Pheasants Forever magazine at $6,840. Total expenditures for the public relations were $9,864, approximately $9,000 more than the year before. The costs associated with producing puppies from the CFNA dogs, domestic puppies, of $760 was down about $3,200 from the year before, when we spent $10,800. One domestically produced dog had extensive medical expenses that are continuing, and the board refunded the purchase price of $1,250 to the owner of that dog. The cost of $2,116 associated with imported puppies was about the same as the year before. Due to miscommunication, there was no income received from the 2022 import. Communications have been corrected, and the income from that puppy should show up in 2023.
Maybe not.
Well,
We'll see.
We know where you
Yeah,
live.
we might drop the hammer.
Send a visitor.
Then we do.
Will repossess.
changes were made to the Gun Dog Supreme in 2022.
Next.
And I think I've got this correct. It was published in, I know I've got this right, in color instead of black and white, and produced quarterly instead of bi-monthly. Is that correct? Okay. Yes. And printing costs of about $4,700, the same as the previous year. The CNFA lost $4,536 in 2022, largely due to the amount spent on publicity and promotions and the lack of income from the imported puppy. This is an improvement from the previous year when we had a loss of $7,960. The CFNA checking account balance at the end of 22 was $6,048, and the savings account balance was $35,007. $5,000 were transferred from the savings to the checking account. Respectfully reported by Roger Furman.
Whoa, nice touch,
Thank you.
Roger. Thank you.
Any
But you're
questions?
not getting the money though.
Yeah.
When you email this, you should email your write-up.
Yes, I'll email both of them. Any questions? Very good.
I do have a question. What was the miscommunication on the imported dog? What was the issue there?
I wasn't brought into that conversation. I think I was last year at the board meeting, I was in Denmark visiting our son. And I think that the communications occurred at that time on the imported dog, and I didn't know anything about it. So that's what happened.
She's a nice puppy for free. Really nice.
You should get one.
Does that answer your question, John?
No, I didn't got no answer.
Well, Roger didn't, I think, request payment for puppy because he wasn't aware of the puppy, I guess, is what I'm hearing.
Oh,
There was just a
so
mis.
somebody got a free dog?
Yes, yes,
Yes, we're correcting that though.
absolutely. And it's very much appreciated.
Mhm.
Oh, it was you, Kraus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's sitting right here.
Whoa, look at that
What-
smile.
What the hell? I mean, you got a lucrative business. You can afford this.
Wow.
All right.
Payment is forthcoming, right? Right.
Checks in the mail. Checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah.
If it isn't in the mail, we're repossessing.
We told him we're gonna repossess his puppy. He's got 30 days to pay up.
I'll go get it. No problem. I'll be the enforcer.
All right, moving on, you guys. Secretaries.
Secretary's report. Thank you, Angie, for distributing some copies. And I did email the report to everybody. We had through the beginning of 2023, we had 236 members paid up. In 2022, at the same time, 232 members. Pretty much staying the same. Membership responded to the Gun Dog Supreme dues reminder in the December issue, and the months this past December, January and February 2023 were very busy with my getting membership renewals and updating information on the database. Membership notices will be sent out now beginning in April after I anticipate that there's going to be another kind of flush of dues coming in with the new GDS that's coming out in the mailbox, your mailbox this week. And I did send everybody an electronic copy of the GDS last night that I received from Spiro. So you should have that in your email. And if you don't, let me know and I'll send it again. I had received membership, 25 new members join in 2022. In 2021, I had recorded 24. So overall, our numbers are staying steady. Members not paid up by May will be removed from any further Gun Dog Supreme mailings. The Southwest chapter has approximately 11 members. Heartland has about 88. The Rocky Mountain has roughly 64. The Northeast chapter had about 36. And the Northwest chapter had about 23. The exact numbers are kind of rough because some people belong to multiple chapters, and other members that I have are just members. They haven't affiliated themselves with a chapter, or they have not paid chapter dues to any specific chapter. The board of directors last met via Zoom the board of directors last met in person in March of 2022 at the Heartland chapter. For the remainder of the year, the board of directors hold frequent conference calls, and now we have Zoom meetings on an as-needed basis. And the results of those meetings have been reported in Gun Dog Supreme. My report is respectfully presented to you all.
Thank you, Jane. Appreciate it.
Questions?
All right. Yeah, any questions for Jane about membership? I have a general question. This may be either to you, Jane, or to Roger. I think it was last year, the Rocky Mountain chapter specifically, membership voted to voluntarily raise their annual dues to $25 from a previous of 10. Have other chapters followed suit? Do we know what the membership fees for other regional chapters are?
It's still $10 in the Heartland.
Maybe
in
that's
the
something you could bring up
Southeast.
with just 15 bucks a person might help put money in the coffers.
Yeah,
We
it's
are good.
still $10 in New England, and I would concur that it's probably time for a raise.
So I'm not really going to put a motion forth, but I'm some representatives here from the Southeast with Don Pfizer, Jim Kraus is here. They both nodded their head that they're probably going to, at their next respective meetings, have a vote of the membership there to increase their regional chapter annual dues to 25 instead of 10 a year. That's probably not too much, asking too much, and it would really help the regional chapters. Okay, any more questions for Jane?
I would like a list of the members.
Okay.
I can hear that.
So Tana Skinner was asking for an updated list of the Rocky Mountain chapter members.
I
And
can,
that's some-
I can email that to her.
Perfect.
Jane, can you email that to me as well?
Yes, I'll copy you. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you. One for Rocky Mountain. And Don Pfizer's also asking for a Rocky Mountain chapter list.
Why don't I just make a point of making a list for all 5 chapters and sending them off respectively?
That would be muy bueno. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Jane. Lori Connell, you're up with a breeding committee report.
Okay, so I sent in a file that it's a little long, so people can read it over. It has some details. The first big thing is the breeders are really the bedrock of our club. This is a breeding club, and I always want to say thank you to our breeders. They put in a lot of effort, and a very, very sincere thank you. We do send them out some pins and a certificate to thank them as well. In 2022, John McDunn officially joined the breeding committee, and Jim Seibel's on it, but he's really stepping back more and more. So it would be helpful if we had a few more members help us. Angie recently came on board to be the puppy list person, which was tremendous because it was it's a big job, and I was having to, even though it wasn't my job, I was having to do a lot of it, and it was just too much. So thank you for both John and Angie McDunn.
Lori, real quick, Lori, before you continue, can you just briefly share what John's role will be or what he has started to do, just so we understand?
Well, right now, John is just part of the group when we share information, make choices. He helped out one of the breedings. When you get the GDS, you'll see that. And we wanted to last year do another health survey, and John hopefully will move that forward. We're having some issues with having the correct computer program so people can submit what they need to submit. So hopefully that'll move forward this year.
Can we not use SurveyMonkey?
Okay, that sounds good. Thanks.
No, it's much bigger survey. SurveyMonkey is not going to really work for it.
Okay.
And Rem had one that he had exclusive access to through the university, but he's now not having access anymore. So he wrote one on gravity forms, and we're testing that out. So slowly moving forward on that. We still see an issue with repairing our public image, which Don will talk more about maybe between the Cesky Fousek and the wire hair pointing griffin. And I have seen that this has improved since last year. I noticed that in the Project Upland had something online about the wire hair pointing griffin, and in it that Craig Koshek had actually changed some text and said that they're two different breeds now. So that part is not as easily as available to people to get confused anymore, which is good. For puppy deposits, last year in 2021, we instituted a non-refundable deposit. We were fairly successful this year, well, in 2022 with that. There was only one person who deferred, and they just said, I want a puppy next year, I'm gonna leave my deposit in. So that was okay. We still do the genetic profiles for all the puppies. And this year, in 2022, we submitted 20 puppies to embark. We actually have another 60 that are going probably this week have gone because the person who was doing it at Cornell had long COVID, so there were some delays in getting that plate submitted. So we should be getting a whole lot of data back pretty soon. We're following degenerative myelopathy, the DM gene, and hyperuricosuriasia, HUU. So those are the two genes we're following, but if anything else crops up, we'll start following that as well. There were 4 approved breedings last year. One was A of Pilot Snob. Ted Walrod was the breeder. That breeding did not take. Then the second one was C of Eagles Point with Sid and Brenda Seascan. There were 9 puppies, 4 males, 5 females. And 7 of those puppies went to new club members. Then the next one was A of Steel Ridge. The breeder was Russell Steele. There were 8 puppies, 6 males, 2 females, and 3 went to homes of new club members. And then there was A Z Montani Ubodi with Dushan and Lorca Smenta. And there were 4 puppies, 2 males, 2 females, and all puppies went to new club member homes. They also all had wolf claws that were not removed when the tails were docked, and they should have been. And some of the owners have elected to get them removed, but it becomes major surgery. So that was unfortunate. There was, I almost don't even want to go into this, but there was one non-approved breeding. And that was because it was the same breeders, Dushan and Lorca, and they had another female that they'd gotten at the same time. They were both imported females. They had not had that female approved for breeding. The other female they did, so they hadn't gone through everything. And they just said, well, we're going to breed her, so whatever. I couldn't really stop them, so we used the same male for both, but I kept personally to be co-owner of all those puppies. So two went into puppies of club members, and one went into a home of somebody who was not a club member, but now has become an active club member in the Southeast. So that was positive, sort of. Okay, we had 2 imported dogs by club members. One was Maya, Jim Krause's dog that I did not know he hasn't paid for yet. And the other is Zora, owned by Andy Ogden. Okay. And the other is Zora, owned by Andy Ogden. And then there was a third one imported by somebody who was not a club member, but has become a club member, and that's Ajax, he calls him Axel, owned by Charles Coulter, and he's in the Southeast. There were a number of dogs that passed the hunting test. Not all of them can move into the breeding program because, you know, they haven't had their hips done or something, but there's quite a good long list of them, and they're on the report that I put out. We still have the continuing issue of we have more good dogs to breed than we have people on our puppy list. And as I had mentioned before, we still have a Foufon image, although that's starting to go away. And then we also have the issue of people, and that actually leads into the next issue of people that want to get imported dogs because they don't think our dogs are either good or whatever. And now Sylvie has become the new international secretary for their club. And she tells me that many of the Czech breeders are wary of exporting to non-CFNA club members, which is good. So they're being directed toward us, but she can't stop people from buying puppies. There were a few people who she has gotten puppies or dogs for that are not included in our club. But now she's telling people they have to be a member of our club or she is not going to help them export a puppy. And again, I just want to thank everybody who works hard with the club at all levels, and the growing enthusiasm, I think, is going to work itself out as far as improved puppy demand coming up. And I just want to say that even though it's not the 2022 report, we have 18 puppies on the ground right now. And for deposits, we have 22 or 23 puppy deposits made. So we have 2 females that have been bred. I don't know what to say. I might end up with 5 puppies in my house at the end of the year.
I'm still
So-
calling people, Lori.
Thanks. We are actually on the list for a puppy. We gave a deposit, but I didn't want a whole bunch of puppies. So
I'll make every
any
effort.
questions? Yeah. Any
So
questions?
18 is the 3 litter? That's
Two.
3 litter?
Two. One the second litter of the Sea of Burning Wood litter had 12 puppies, 1 passed away.
We have 11 live puppies.
And there's 11 puppies from that litter and
Yeah.
7 from the A of Kanaka Rapids
Yeah,
litter.
so
2 more breedings.
2 more breedings.
one
that's due here
yep.
early
Well,
April.
yeah, we have an ultrasound for Dashenka Valley House in Alaska this week, and we'll know. And then Fanny will get an ultrasound in what, 2 weeks, Lori?
Yeah, so I talked to Brad and he said there's no veterinarian around that he can get into in a reasonable amount of time to do an ultrasound, but he has set up for an x-ray with also a big problem with tail ducts. No veterinarians there want to do tail ducts anymore, but he found one. So I think he's got everything under control.
Really quick, Lori, Brad Mayans, veterinarian, does not have an ultrasound machine.
Apparently not. He has to go to another one that's a little farther away.
Well, to
Or they
verify,
won't do ultrasounds or something. I don't know. Whatever. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, damn phone.
I just
Okay.
wanted to share, and if I need to call Brad, I can. Most veterinary hospitals have an ultrasound machine for very simple everyday uses, especially for visualizing the bladder and collecting urine. And so determining whether a female is pregnant or not is a very easy thing to do. We're not counting puppies, we're just verifying a pregnancy or not. That I would encourage him to try to find a veterinarian, just a general practice doctor that has an ultrasound, just to see. You don't need a specialist. You don't need a puppy count on ultrasound. Just is or is not would be helpful to know.
Right. So you can talk to him. He
Okay,
talked to me the other day, and
I might do that, so. Okay, anything else, Lori?
not from my end, other than I think things will work out in the future of getting a higher puppy demand with communications, and then we can breed more of our good dogs because we're not breeding a lot of our good dogs right now.
Are there any questions, you guys, for the breeding committee for Lori? Questions? That'd be a no. I think we're gonna move on. Thank you, Lori.
Sounds like a good year to get a puppy.
Right? Okay, Andy, do you have any comments or thoughts or plans for the training committee?
Yeah, the training committee has sort of hit a stumbling block. We had initially planned on using a mentorship type program to help people with their training. It was fairly poorly received, and we pivoted to trying to develop training that could be put online on our website. And at about that point, all of a sudden the training committee basically got completely shifted onto the judging committee. So there was very little training committee left. So I'm hoping that at the with the last GDS, we're asked for people who would like to help out with this kind of thing. I'm hoping that we got some people who said that they would like to be on the training committee. On the plus side, every single chapter seems to be having training days. I've participated in the training days in the Northwest, the Southeast, and the Northeast within the last year. And those seem to be well received and appreciated by the members. I think we need to be more active in terms of training days other than around the time of the test. However, having done one of those in the Northeast, there seems to be a problem trying to organize them. You know, in the summertime, everybody's got a reason why they can't be somewhere. And it's, you know, we may have to tie in more to like other ways that people can get exposure with some direction from other mentors in the club. It's an interesting problem. It will take several people to help me figure the best way forward with this. But I really do think that the online mentorship, telephone mentorship kind of idea really failed miserably, and I'm extremely hesitant to go back to that.
Yep. Tana has something to say.
So I'm on the training committee also, and I did a 3-day training at Grant Ritchie's house.
Can you speak up, please?
I did a 3-day training for our club members at Grant Ritchie's house. I think it was in May last year, and there were 7 members who came, and we did stuff for 3 days, and they were all quite appreciative and learned a lot. And Grant wants me to do another one this year, and trying to figure out a time. Here's my schedule. Few days to met, but I would like to do another club training this spring or early summer for anybody who wanted to come. And then I've also been mentoring some of our club members the last couple of years on a one-to-one basis. Over the phone a lot. Dennis Days came to my house and spent 3 days. Anyway, so
Good.
Yeah.
We have.
We also have a sort of a new subgroup in Colorado and Wyoming, and we've had some members be active in a couple of 2 or 3 so far, and it's been pretty informal, but they've been good.
Did you hear? Go ahead.
It's been great. They all both have access to great green ground and birds.
Did you hear that, Andy Ogden?
No.
No.
Okay.
No,
that's kinda-
I can't either. It's
Okay, so I'll just
it's garbled.
reiterate. Okay, sorry, I'll reiterate for you guys. Andy said that, the good news from the training committee standpoint is that the active training days on the Thursday or Friday before test weekend seem to have really ramped up. There's interest, there's attendance, those seem to be working, but that's that once or twice a year training event, and we need to be doing more, and so we're looking for ways to do more. Hannah Skinner mentioned, rightly so, I totally forgot, that she had traveled to Oregon and with Grant Ritchie's help put on a informal, well, not a training day associated with the test, but a separate 3-day training day attended by 7 club members in the Northwest. And that was just organically organized on its own right. And I think there's a place for that to be in the future. And then Rick Soja also, I didn't realize he came into the meeting. There is a group in Colorado/Wyoming/Montana. There's a group of 7 or 8 individuals that have met more than once now to do informal training days. And that interest in that is continuing. So I do think there'll be a place for individual club members to talk to regional members and organize their own training days. And we should encourage that.
Hey, Andy, it's Don Pfizer. What about piggybacking off of the NAVDA training? I mean, that's what we're doing in the Southeast, is I'm recommending to all our guys, given that we're so spread out geographically. So I don't know what the club's thought is on that. I think they would support it, but might be something we could put in the GDS relative to training, but we'll follow your lead on that.
I actually am a little bit conflicted on this. I've been to training days at several different NAVDA clubs. My local club, there's a strong leader and it's extremely well organized. There's a field marshal involved who keeps things running appropriately, that the training that's done is appropriate for the level of the dogs. And that would be a great help for a lot of our members. I've also been to NAVDA training where you basically show up at a field, they hand you 3 birds or whatever you've ordered, and each group of people sort of like filters off to their own area and does their own thing. I'm afraid that would be more harmful than helpful. So when I advise people to go to see their NAVDA, local NAVDA chapter, I ask them to do a sort of an evaluation of what's there. It's not that you can't get anything out of them, because I find them to be extremely helpful, but you also have to be careful with what you're working with, because, just because someone does something dog training wise doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. And the more people I'm around, the more I think dogs sometimes are great in spite of us, not because of us.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. Yeah, we always had an old saying, Andy, that the dog really did well in spite of the handler.
Yeah.
So I'd like to just mention that with aspect to training, that in the Heartland here, we used to have training days the first weekend in August, and I ran them out of my house for 15 years. And at times we had 10, 12 people with either not only was it training, but it was puppy exposure. So people with puppies came, people with naturals, some with intermediate. Especially we encourage intermediate because there were some things in the test that they were not aware with. And that went good for, say, 10, 12 years, and then it just started dwindling. And the last one I had one person come. And so that's the main reason we went to having a training day before the test. Just people just weren't willing to come anymore. I hope that doesn't happen to the other places, but that's just our experience.
Okay.
Rick Soja has a comment.
I want to mention one other thing that probably other people are aware of. Andy and Diane Ross have been hosting our training days in Montana for a long time.
Rick, come up here so you can, I'm gonna have Rick Soja come up so I don't need to repeat his saying so that you can hear and see him.
Let's see if it's worth repeating.
Right. Yeah.
I was just saying that our Montana group that have been training at Randy and Diane Ross's ranch for a long time is sort of, we're not doing that anymore because Randy's had some major health problems and can't handle it. And so right now, sort of in the Northern Rockies, we're sort of gonna look for another venue to hold more training days would probably be a good idea. I just want to let people know why that wasn't pursuing. It wasn't for a lack of interest in anything else. It was just to accommodate Randy's failing health.
Okay. Did you guys hear that?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, very good.
We still hold training days in Michigan monthly from April through August.
So
First one is April 15th is the first one of this year. So,
okay. Jim Krause has said that there's training days in Michigan in April and August, and they still hold.
April through August.
Oh, April through August, monthly? Monthly. So they're still doing that.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, communication again, I mean, GDS, I mean, if guys in the region, if they know that, I mean, again, may help if you just put a little snippet in the GDS that says regionally, here's what we've got going on, whether it's the group in Colorado, Wyoming, Montana.
We should put it on the website. We should
Yep.
put it on Facebook pages. You don't know where people are looking.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
Yep.
Rem created
I saw it on the Facebook.
no, I don't, also, we email every member in the Heartland. And we'll remind them of all this, all the news of the chapter. So he's got a list of all the members and he emails out whatever information we want to send out.
Did you guys hear that?
Yes.
Okay, the Jim Krause said the Heartland chapter, Rem emails everybody about training days and they have a strong email list going and there's frequent emails going out as far as training days and times, etc. So we need, I think the interest may be there. We need to find a way to reach our members to get the times out there. So. Any other questions or comments? Training related. Okay, I think we're ready to move on. Next up on the agenda is sort of the judges committee. I don't know about testing reports. There's a lot of things to kind of share and discuss. So Jim, if it's okay with you, I asked Tana to come so she could share.
She's more involved in
So I asked Tana Skinner to share, and Tana, I'll have you come up here so they can see you. Discuss sort of where we are with the apprentice judge program, what Tana's role is with the apprentice judges, how it's organized, and then we'll sort of go from there. If you want to sit down, I can see you.
You probably all know me. I'm Tana Skinner. I've been a member of the club for, what, 40 some years. I was asked to be on the judging committee and joined that and the training committee. And we, over the last couple of years, have developed a structured apprentice program. We now have a official program that's been accepted by the board, and we have a handbook that lists all the requirements and the steps it takes to become a CFNA judge. We have an evaluation system. Each time an apprentice pass, they get an evaluation from the senior judge, and that helps us see where they're at and helps them see their progress. And so far things have been going, pretty smoothly. We now have 8 apprentices in the program. 6 of them are pretty close to having all the requirements for becoming a judge. And it'll only be in the next year or so that some of these will be reviewed by the board probably to become a judge. Our apprentices are Angie McDunn, Don Pfizer, Vince Esposito, Randy Holm, Scott Craig, Rusty Dill, and who's the other one? There's one more, can't remember it. I had this all on a piece of paper, which I forgot to bring. I searched all over this morning for it, but I obviously didn't make it here with it. The apprentice program is basically divided into 3 steps. And the time limit for those steps is variable depending upon how active the apprentice is. It could be, you could go through the whole program in a couple of years if you were really diligent about it, or it could take you as long as it takes you. Like, what was I going to say? Anyway, now I'm confused here. We also developed a test, a written test on basic information that all the apprentices have to take. And the judging committee just finished that up. And so,
Stan.
huh?
Stan is the other person,
Stan.
not Stan. Morris.
Dan Moore.
Morris is his last name.
Rob. Morris.
Rob.
Morris. Yes. Yes.
Once you said that, because he said that he wanted to take the test.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, so that test is now available for any apprentice who wants to take it. And we have copies of it here this weekend. And so that's where you can take it, is if at any of the tests, there will be someone there to administer it if an apprentice wants to. About 30 to 45 minutes. Yeah. And it's just basic knowledge on the handbook, the test booklets, the resources that are in the apprentice judge handbook, and all the standard, the Cesky Fousek standard. Yeah.
The test is really the important nugget, basic knowledge. If a club member comes up to a judge in a parking lot and says, how much is a search, or how long is a search in the NA? I don't remember. It's stuff that should be right here, easy. It's 20 minutes. Usually it's 10 minutes before we plant a bird. So it's basic knowledge, dentition, types of coat, what the sort of preferred layup for or a setup for a pheasant track is. It's the real basic knowledge. It's not supposed to be this intimidating, overwhelming written test. It's that basic knowledge that you should know, and you probably already do know as an apprentice.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add? Okay. Any questions?
Donna, yeah.
Yes.
On that apprentice test, question 2, with the dentation, that picture A it's really hard for me to see exactly what the dentation is. If there'd be a side view, that would be much easier, like the other 2.
Right, and we have been searching for different pictures that were that showed what we wanted, and those are the best ones we came up with, and Anna was able to get those.
I agree with you, John. It's the best we could come up with right now. We will try to find an ideal or preferred or better one.
Well, maybe put something out then in the tests now. If a judge sees, I think what you're trying to find there would be an undershot job, but I'm not sure. If somebody sees it, they ought to take a picture of it.
Yeah,
Good idea.
absolutely agreed. Yes.
Yeah.
Second question, on the number 3, are they given any reference material to show where all the points of this dog are, or do they have to just go online or somewhere and figure it out on themselves?
It's the question about the dog anatomy. Is it
Yeah.
the question about
Yeah,
label, the
that-
croup and the anatomy?
That is in the handbook.
It's in the handbook.
It's in the
It's in the
handbook.
hand. Okay, so there is reference material that they can just go to.
Yes.
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 All right.
There's
that's
nothing on
good.
the test that they don't have the
didn't send
materials
you
for, so.
All right, that's good.
No
Yeah.
trick questions?
No trick questions,
Yeah,
no.
you don't need to. I'm on that.
Because you're going to take it.
Okay.
All right.
I appreciate
Any other
your work.
questions?
Let's talk, we're gonna stay together to talk about the transition from the duck track to the duck search. That's a very important discipline change. We have already, the judging committee.
Water search.
Water search.
Well, let me clarify. So last year, the judging committee, and then of course the BOD voted to approve a discipline change in the intermediate test to get rid of the duck track and make that discipline into a more broad evaluation of a dog in the water called search for the duck or search behind the duck. And that was approved both by the judges committee and the BOD to do this. We have finished the verbiage and I sent the discipline to all of you guys. We do need to ask for permission. We are changing the name to water search instead of search for the duck. And the reason we decided to change the name is so that we could focus on the body of work of that dog in a water environment that's challenging, to use its intelligence, experience, and its nose to find scent on water, vegetation, and in the air, to do an encompassing search to locate a bird. We called it a water search, and the BOD will need to vote on that name change, but the discipline itself was already approved. And I did send out handouts. We have printed copies of handouts in the spring test here. Andy, you did one in the Northwest, a demonstration on training day of this water search, and we will do another demonstration of water search day in the afternoon during training day to explain what we want the dog to do. We will let the dog do it. Then we will have a conversation about what we saw. We scored it so that the gallery can ask questions. That's it in a nutshell. You have anything to add?
And John, we're gonna do led by Monica Redmond, we're gonna do a presentation at our training day at the Heartland also.
Okay.
Have you looked at it, John? Did you read it?
I read it.
Okay.
I'm-
Any questions?
Well, no, but I'm one of the two, I think, that voted against it, but
Yeah.
we were obviously overruled, so I've read it.
Okay.
I still have some very real concerns about it. You're trying to equate it to a field search, but only the search in the water, but there might be an opportunity where the dog never ever scents a duck and you're going to have to score it.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. Yeah.
But in the field,
John,
we
I-
always put a pheasant out or something so the dog can make bird contact. That's not happening in the water.
There will be a bird there.
Yeah, there's a duck.
I
in
know,
there.
but there's not guaranteed that the dog is going to make contact with a bird in water search like you do in field search.
No, it's not guaranteed that it'll contact it.
I was told, I've not seen one, I've seen video. Novice uses more than one duck from day.
Right. No, they have one bird per dog.
Per dog.
Second dog, if the first dog doesn't find a bird, there'll be a fresh bird. Now there's 2 ducks.
Okay.
And then the third dog. So,
Ours could be the same though, could it not?
Yeah.
It's gonna be on the same grade.
If I read this correctly, in where you have your test in Idaho on the Snake River, that little pond that we did our duck work on, that's no longer eligible to do duck work.
we need to look for other water and we will.
Well, I think that's a great lesson for us, Anna, because your dog flunked the duck track in Idaho at that pond, then went to intermediate at a place where there was good water and good scent and scored a 4. So
Well,
that's a lesson for all of us to find the best possible conditions to do the tests in and not what's really just convenient.
Well, also keep in mind, my same dog that flunked her duck track in the utility, there was a duck that was killed in the pond upwind. And then they put a second bird downwind, and my dog, and it was gusty 35-mile-an-hour winds first thing in the morning. And my dog was faulted for not tracking. She's a hunting dog. She's experienced on duck. She ran downwind on the perimeter of the pond and found the bird, brought it to hand, and she failed, which as a hunting dog, she did exactly what I asked. This same dog earned a 4 in her duck track because conditions were best in her intermediate. She knows how to do it. So just wanted to add that.
As did my dog.
Which is exactly what I said, is that the dog if the dog would have had good conditions, it probably would have done it the first time.
I mean, that's potential, but see, that's the problem. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to change this, is because we cannot control the weather. And when, like down here, we have a lot of wind, the tracks disappear quickly in those ponds and dogs fail. But if you are evaluating a dog on all of his skills in the water, whatever the conditions, then you get a better idea of what the dog can do, and you're not narrowing it just to a third or just to a track.
I think the thing that I see in John's thing, judging this is that we've got to train the judge. The judges, we're something we're not used to. We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. Did
So
you
that's
hear
gonna
that,
be
John?
Yeah, I heard the best part, which is we don't know what we're doing.
How funny. What he meant to say was, I'll fill in the blanks, is our judges have never seen this before. So in fairness to our judges and our handlers as well, I would say, we are obligated to, and we must give them time to have seen it, demonstrated, see the discipline, read the discipline, understand how it's scored, and ask questions before they're evaluated. We took great pains in, that is an understatement, great pains, this is a 2-year process, to write this test discipline in such a way that we answered most questions or scenarios that could possibly come up. And we tried to clarify what a 4 looks like, what a 3 looks like, what a failing search looks like, and it's not written in stone. This is our first working draft, something to start with. And if we find major flaws, major problems, we want to hear about it. And we will go back to the drawing board and make adjustments. So I want to make that very clear. So I'm not sorry that we've moving from the duck track to the search, whatever we call it. Right now we're calling it a water search, but I'm very open to, and we must be flexible to make adjustments to the scoring or verbiage or whatever. We just are working with the draft we have now. Just want to make that clear. So there's a question from the audience.
Are we leaning toward eliminating the track on land of the pheasant?
No.
For the same reason?
No, no,
Why not? It's the same question situation.
we're not losing it.
Why? It seems like it's the same situation.
I would disagree. I think you can generally find the vegetation in the grass. There may be windy days, drier days, but we still have a better opportunity for a pheasant track than a water track. The water environment is so different for scent and what it's doing to scent. That's my observation. Do you have anything to add?
No, I agree.
No, we're not getting rid of pheasant track.
The other issue is you can't do multiple bugs the whole day at the same time.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
We can't hear
Yeah.
the comments, Anna.
Oh, Vincent's saying that, because Rick Soja asked about, well, under that same pretense, how come we're not getting rid of pheasant track? I said, the reason we're not getting pheasant track is you can find areas and cover to reasonably set up a dog for a successful pheasant track. Vincent Esposito recommended that, or suggested that, I'm brain farting. What was your comment?
Water, can't do
Oh,
the old
yes.
track over and over again.
He-
A lot of
he
times it's-
commented that it's a real time turn, a time suck. Try to do a duck track, we have to rest the pond, find a new area. Versus now, the way the water search is set up, you can immediately run new dogs into this pond. They must distinguish old scent from new scent, but you can run through the dogs more quickly in the same search pond area. Is that your comment? And it versus the pheasant track, you just move 100 yards down, set up a fresh track, move 100 yards down, a new pheasant track. It's easier to set a clean track on pheasant. It's not so easy on the duck track. So this water search will sort of change that landscape and make it easier to use the same body of water fairly quickly and rotate dogs through. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'd like to go back to something that John said. And I really think that this is something that we all have to deal with. We can't just go to the same places over and over and over again because we always have. We need to be looking to give the dog the best chance. Having been to tests in a bunch of areas, we sometimes use areas that are marginal for some of the tests. And I really think as judges, particularly senior judges, we need to give the dog the best chance they have to show us what they have. Now, I'm not talking about dogs that run off and don't know their name and all that other kind of stuff. But a dog that's been properly prepared for the test deserves to have the best test site, the best dogs, the best birds, the best situation set up so that they can show us what they have. Otherwise, we're kind of wasting our time. And I think that we really need to do a good job picking the places where we do tests.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree, Andy. That's a good comment.
I would say that I know there is interest or speculation that for the Heartland test site, I don't know logistically how we'd make it happen. I understand it's an hour and a half to 2 hours from the Mazzamini test grounds, but the gentleman that owned Ajax, I think the male sire dog, and was Gerard Watrous, long time club member, has actually offered his property.
Right, so I was just,
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It's over towards Appleton.
So what I'm trying to say is there is someone who may be offering their land with appropriate water to help with the concerns about water conditions for the Heartland test.
Yeah.
Right.
they have a good field next to their field for a search, and they have some woods for wood search too. I just spent, I brought Fanny out there to breed her. I was there for over a week. So I got to see what they had, and they have good puppy water, and they also have their wetland is all fed by artesian springs, so it doesn't go dry in the summer.
That's out there then.
Okay. I do want to make a motion that hopefully someone can second to change the discipline of the search for the duck to water search.
I'll second it.
Do we want to take a vote, or how do we do that?
Jane.
Jane, can you call for a vote?
Um,
Did
Yeah,
you hear what we did?
Yes, I did. Anna's proposing, the proposal is to change the name of the process of the transition from the duck search to the water, to the name of the test from duck search to water search. Anna's proposed it, Lori has seconded, and can we have a vote of the directors that are, board of directors that are present?
Before we take the vote, Jane, Jim Cross asked for clarification why we opted to change it to water search. The reason we opted to change it for water search for the duck has the bird, the name of the bird in it, duck. That implies that there must be contact with the duck in order to pass or do well. And we felt it was misleading because the discipline water search may be that the dog doesn't end up getting the bird, but the effort and diligence and cooperation and game drive and using its nose to try to go check different places out still shows a dog that would, under reasonable conditions, get that bird. So they can score well, but they didn't actually get it. So we dropped the duck out of that search to help make it understand that it's the body of work we're looking at.
In the water.
That is why it's called water search instead of search for the duck. Does that help?
Does that-
I'm getting sad eyeballs from Jim Krause. Okay, so Jane, you want to call a vote?
Can I call a vote from board members? All those in favor?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
John?
No,
No. Jim Kraus?
Yes,
Was that a yes?
yes.
Thank you.
He's giving me sad eyeballs with the yes.
So Roger?
Yes.
Roger, thank you. So of the board, I have one no vote and the remaining board directors vote yes, so it's a pass to change the name from duck search to water search.
Okay. Is there anything else, Tana, for judging or judging committee updates? Any,
I have something.
Lori?
Yeah, so now that we have voted on the new name and everything, we can put the text on, we'll give it to Ram to put on the website so people can look at it.
Minus the other judging considerations, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to, go ahead. And who else had a comment?
I did. I just had a question.
Okay.
I'm putting together a list of who all's on the committee. Can you just lay jump through it now? Just who's on this judging committee? I mean, overall.
And Lori Connell, yeah.
Lori's also on it?
Yes. Andy Yaste, Andy
Got it.
Ogden, yep.
Got it.
Jim Krause, Jim Seibel.
Got it.
Yeah.
So it's perfect.
Before we leave the judging committee, apprentice judge, the topic here, I just wanted to say, I'm actually extremely pleased and I want to thank the committee members, the judging committee members, on behalf of all of their work. I will summarize it by saying it's been an incredible uphill battle to try to get some things passed or modified. And a vetting out process and those discussions are extremely important and very healthy. And those discussions needs to keep up with it. But I'm pointing out specific things like the update and revision of the natural ability test booklet. I am talking about the creation and implementation of an apprentice judge program with a strong leader, a director, who the first director will be Tana, that we have a booklet for our apprentice judges to follow, that we have a way to give feedback to our apprentices that in previous years might have been fine, but was very informal. And for me personally, as an apprentice, I was in the dark and I was quite clueless about where I was in my progress. And it was a rather unpleasant experience. And I know we have lost apprentices in the past because they didn't know where the hell they were at in terms of, were they learning, were they doing the right things? And so I am very optimistic, I'm very encouraged, I'm very happy about where the apprentice judge program will take our club, because we are a breeding club. We need these dogs to be evaluated. We have had a group of judges who have been aging out and no one coming in behind them to be recruited for some time. And what I see and hope to continue to see is that people now step up and are interested in becoming apprentice judges because there is a roadmap, there is a path and a process for them to see beginning, middle, and end how to become a judge. So I see this as a very good move, and a heartfelt thank you to everyone involved in developing this apprentice judge program. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Could I make just a little statement on why my thinking is and why I voted no, so the rest of the board members know kind of my thinking on this whole thing?
Please, absolutely.
Okay, so the way I see it is now we can run dogs in what I would call mediocre or less than mediocre water conditions and give them a score, instead of finding the best possible water, which Andy also suggested. So we can now score the dogs instead of, it's going to make it a lot easier instead of us doing our due diligence and going out and finding the water that we actually need to do a really good duck track. And I would say that when a dog has been exposed to duck tracks and you give him or her the right water conditions, you're going to see really good dog work and be able to score real well. So I think this is a kind of a step back for us, making it easier for the dogs to score. And it's really lowering the standards that we're going to be setting for our dogs and with breeding potential and that kind of thing. So that's where my thinking is.
Thank you for sharing that, John. I'm going to ask if anyone on the floor or in the BOD wants to respond or ask any questions or make comments.
All afraid of John.
They're all afraid of you, John.
No, they know I'm right, Anna. That's why.
I
No.
love it.
I'm in agreement. I mean, I was the other no that voted for this at the beginning, so I still think we missed something by the duck track.
Is there a way
Just
to,
to clarify, our vote today was just change duck search to water search. It wasn't duck track. The track was already out of it.
John knows that, but he just wanted to make his opinion known. Yeah. Vincent?
I mean, there were some years where it sucks out there.
Yeah.
And there's no chance for us to do a good track. I've been to those events.
Yeah.
Frustrating for the judges, for the dog handler.
Yeah.
Probably for the dog.
Yeah.
And then there are other years when it's been amazing. Is there a way to maybe, like, if the opportunity is there, we have really great conditions, we do track. And on other years, we have to fall to the search.
I think it needs to be one or the other. Yeah.
I agree. And that is one of the reasons. We're not going to follow this up. This provides the opportunity to show creating a perfect track in the farm. And we also, here,
Could you have Tana come up to the front? I can't hear her.
Okay, we'll have Tana come up so she can hear.
There you go, Tom. Now you gotta come to the front of the class again.
Yep, back in the hot seat.
I do not want this to get into a conflict resolution or argument. Again, we've been through all of that. But one of the reason that I wanted to change this, that I voted for it, was because of the weather situation where it's so uncontrollable. And as been said, some years you got perfect conditions, you can do a duck track. Other years you couldn't do a duck track if you even thought about it, and because of the weather. And so this method, this discipline, the way we've written it up, allows the dog to show its skills, potential, desire for bird contact in a water environment where where the weather doesn't matter. And there is potential for tracking. There is potential for searching. The dog has to put it all together in order to find the duck. And if you notice, like down in this test, our dogs, if the scent on the track is not evident and we have a lot of wind and it disappears, what does the dog do? Immediately goes into a search. Okay, that is the natural point of this test. Dogs naturally search. They want to find scent. And so we're just asking them and allowing them to do that in a water environment. And if a duck that is placed out there moves, it sets a track. If the dog searches in that area and contacts that track, the dog will follow it. But if the wind is howling and the duck never moves because it's like you shot it and it's really winged and, you know, the dog has to search. And that's the other reason that I've supported this, is that it's more natural. When you go out and hunt over a pond and you wing a duck and it falls down into the reeds, you might have seen it, maybe your dog didn't. You want them to go out there and search, find the duck, and do whatever they can, because you can't get there. And so that's my point. Good. Have at it, Jim.
Yeah, you want to go in today?
Yeah.
It's 20 some degrees
Not too many
outside.
dogs want to go in today.
With the wind, it's 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might sleep in tomorrow.
Yes.
The only thing I could add to that is that a pheasant track, you could have just said pheasant track instead of a water search, and everything would have applied to the pheasant track also. Wind is always a factor.
Thanks, Sean. Anna stepped out for a second, so we're waiting for her to come back.
This weekend, we will see that. Since the weather's supposed to be blowing 20, when we get there in the morning.
This weekend, our wind tomorrow is supposed to be 20 miles an hour in the morning when we get down to the test site. So we will see dogs having issues.
So we'll see it this afternoon. Are we doing a practice run?
We
this
are doing a
afternoon?
practice run this afternoon with
Right.
2 dogs.
Yeah.
So I think we're also going to see dogs that don't want to get in the water, especially NA dogs, because it's going to be
I
cold.
wonder, has anybody ever done a study to determine the number of dogs, natural ability dogs, that failed the water portion in the spring versus the fall?
No, but I think you'd find some interesting
I
numbers.
think you would.
I think you would too.
Yeah, no question about it.
Or if it's a spring test, like sometimes we have spring tests here, and by the time you get to the water at noon for the NA dogs, it's 72 degrees and it's hot.
Yeah.
And they get in better.
I also argue when those puppies were born
Yes.
Mhm.
too. So,
Yeah.
Okay. Where are we with our
We
meeting
were
here?
just waiting for you to come
Oh.
back and go to the next item,
Okay.
the last item.
We've got the last item on the agenda is the communication.
Communications and kind of sort of membership involvement to facilitate information from BOD kind of down to the regional chapters. So I'll let Don Pfizer speak to this need for transparency. The membership is clamoring for information, so.
Hey, guys,
So I have one request. Don, can you send a copy of your report out so that we can put it in the archives?
I will.
Can you see and hear,
Thank you.
Don? Can
Yeah,
you,
Lori, can you hear me?
can you guys see Don?
Yes, I can see him.
I can hear you
Yes.
just fine.
Making
He's
sure.
on his.
Right.
Come on.
Okay.
Yeah. So guys, 2022, we created the communications/marketing committee. It's made up of about 7 members currently. What I've asked is, and I'm reaching out to each individual chapter president, to formally have a chapter representative put on the committee. Ultimately, as Anna said, trying to improve communication throughout the club. And that starts a ground effort in individual chapters. So we'll be reaching out to each of the individual presidents and having somebody hopefully appointed or volunteered.
I
to be part
volunteer
of
for
that.
my chapter.
Very
So
good. Angie's already checked the box, being the leader that she is.
Angie's going to volunteer to
Right.
be Rocky Mountain representative on the communication committee.
Yep. So again, with the goal to continually improve our communications within the club. The second piece of this is what our goals are within the committee. First and foremost was improving communications. The second thing was bolstering outside knowledge of our breed and what we do and what our dogs are able to do. Excuse me. So the first effort with that was the club approved going into an ad with Pheasant Fest, also the super issue with Quail Forever. So those publications have been ongoing for the last year. They come to an end this August. And so we'll need to have further communications of, do we think that this was successful? Obviously, that evaluation is based on new membership, puppy requests. That's in conjunction also with the events that we've had scheduled across the country in California and Pheasant Fest. So those communications will continue on what we need to do going forward, whether it's another ad run with Pheasant Forever or venturing into another publication like NAVDA. That publication is pushing now 11,000 members, a little less than half cost of what we did with Pheasant. So we'll need to have that discussion and figure out as a club, is that an effort that we want to do as we move forward. The other goal was helping to modify and improve the website. And that piece is, as everybody knows, for the last 2 decades has fallen on RIM. And RIM is a year ago had made the request of hoping to transition out of that role. Eric Higby, again with Rocky Mountain, a young member, has volunteered to help out. We've had a number of conference calls between the two, and that will be a slow roll with transforming the website. And again, I'm asking multiple folks with involvement, if anybody has any knowledge relative to website, not necessarily design, but just how to work through the format that RIM has put us on, and we'll gladly accept their help. The last piece of this is RIM is also heavily involved with the management of our photos as they come out from each chapter event and through training events. And he's asked for help on that side. I put a snippet in this upcoming GDS that will go out. Obviously, this, in fact, I think just went out. The PDF was made available this week. But asking for somebody to help step up and assist. And there'll be, again, a transition from RIM to whoever that individual or individuals may be. So, from a recap overall, we had, Pheasant Fest here in middle of February. Kraus was there, kind of would lean on John to give us kind of an overview on that. And then Anna had her event down in California, which I think was a raging success from all communications. But Kraus, you want to go first?
Can I just add one thing real quick, sort of to segue from Don's comments about these events. When I went and just refreshed my coffee cup, a gentleman introduced himself by the name of Dan DeSantis, and he is a gentleman from California who found out about us through the Cal ISE show. And he is here in person with his wife. He has a deposit in, or just about to put a deposit in for a puppy. So that's some sort of, positive proof that the ISE show helped. We also have another family. I received a text last night that they'll be arriving this morning. A husband and wife family from extreme northern California. They live on the shores of Goose Lake, and they have a 5-year-old Labrador. They also have a deposit in for a puppy. They are coming here in person to see our dogs and to meet our club members. So we have something small but tangible from the California show. Sorry, you were going.
No, that's good. Just, it's a great transition into, how the events went. And as, at least from our side, how they were perceived, and then just general feedback from the masses. And as Anna's saying, obviously there's labors, fruits to those labors already bearing fruit, so to speak. So, anything from Pheasant Fest you want to?
Well, Pheasant Fest is a 3-day festival. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The puppy parade is a big issue. And this year, through lack of communication, they usually send an email out to sign up, and they didn't. And Kirk called up like 3 weeks before, and it was already full. They only allow X amount of dogs. So we had no dogs in the parade. And there was a friend who works for he's a biologist for the state of Ohio. He was there, and he wondered why we didn't have any dogs in the parade. So
Yeah.
Next year, we want to make sure we're very proactive. We get some puppies in the parade. People need to know. And next year it's in Sioux Falls, which it's only been there one time, but it was the best show we've ever done. Highest attendance and everything.
I might go.
And you're right in the middle of
South Dakota.
South Dakota. Yeah.
It's actually in the south corner of South Dakota, southeast
Okay.
corner.
Southeast
Yeah.
corner, Nebraska, Iowa, and South
But
Dakota.
this year was in Minneapolis. It was a big event because Howard Benson retired this year as the president, CEO of Pheasant Forever. But Friday to me seemed to be kind of a portent state to be normal. Saturday was booming all day long. Sunday was slow again. But we did have one couple who came that had already talked to John and Lori, and they just wanted to see a Cesky Fousek. And they put their deposit down, and they're on the puppy list now after they came. Had another couple that's coming to the Heartland, said they were coming to Heartland. And we had quite a few people interested. We had a lot of people who said, I've never seen one. A lot of people said, nice to see one. But it's, I think, for $1,000 or whatever it costs us, and we have everybody's a volunteer. I think it's a good investment in the club to get people to see what we have, and and to watch them. Kids will come up and the dogs will let them roll all over them at the show and everything. It's well worth the money to spend, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd like to share 2 comments. And you probably know this, John. I think Jim Krause knows this as well. Kirk Dilly had wanted out the last year or 2, really wanting out. And in his defense, his busy time of year is he has a business that he's trying to make profitable, sort of let things slide. And he probably was part of why not getting a representation in the puppy parade and things didn't happen. I think we really need to think about a point person, someone who has an interest and time and energy to commit to the Pheasant Fest specifically, to be an organizer and a cheerleader that can, get on the phone, hit the emails, and sort of get a little organically grown group for the next year's test. I'm just using the California show as an example. We didn't know what we were doing. I just thought it was a good idea. So I kind of started making phone calls. I need help. I can't do this. And people actually came out of the woodwork to assist, and it kind of breathed a life of its own. And we had young members with dogs who were standing part way in the aisleway, not blocking, standing and engaging with passerbys, and they saw younger club members, women handlers, and that really brought a lot of young hunters out at the ISE show saying, hey, this is kind of cool. We had this representation of, both guys and girls with these dogs of different ages of club members. And I'd like to see us try to have that kind of success which you have in the past, but get more recruitment from, I guess the Heartland would be where we have to draw the help from. So, and I forgot my second point, so.
Right.
So,
I think, let me add one thing on that. As Anna said, relative to Pheasant Fest, you know, as we ran that ad, part of the incentive was that we got our booth location. So, I mean, if that's one thing we could think about as far as moving forward next year, thought needs to go into where the booth is. I got some feedback of the kind of, we were tucked back into the corner. Anything in the layout.
It was where we normally are, which is across from the bird dog cage, where they do all the seminars for all Rick Smith, everybody's up there doing their show. So there's usually a big crowd. Well, this year, for whatever reason, we were at the opposite end we normally are. And it wasn't where the crowd was flowing. And then when the seminar was over, they were just going the opposite direction when they were done.
Yeah.
Plus, Farina is a big part of the pheasant. They had their booth 2 booths down from us, and they had a whole wall of those big signs. And when you came from that direction, all you saw was Farina, and it looked like that was the end. And I think a lot of people just stopped and never came on.
So next year we'll
So has
do a
anybody
better.
given a thought? John runs a youth shooting club, and they got one of those flags, you know, you see those flags outside.
Yeah.
And,
We had those.
and
Yeah.
put those up, could you put them further out?
There's rules on that.
Yeah, I know there are,
So,
but
Real quick, so John, with next month upcoming Heartland Chapter Spring Test Training Day and meetings, maybe you guys could, with Jim Krause, think about making an announcement or a plea for a member to step up and maybe be a facilitator for Pheasant Fest. It's not too soon to start thinking about and organizing it.
It's already on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess- I
already
guess
on the agenda.
Jim
So-
Krause, yeah.
So Ken Hurtig and I ran that for a long time but you know, Jim Krause and Dave Finley have been, I think, to almost every single one. They're the real torch bearers now.
Yeah.
And Kurt Dilly actually came to us because he was at Pheasant Fest, and we talked to him, and he volunteered to do this. And and he did it okay for the first couple of years, but he's kind of been really lax the last couple. So you're right, we need to find somebody and to see if we can get that moving again.
Yeah, and Jim Krause nodded. It's already on the agenda for your Heartland group to talk about that next month. So
yeah.
I'll turn it back to Dawn.
Yeah, and I talked to Monica when she was down at the Southeast test about this, and again, I knew it was upcoming on the agenda. Also talked to her about soliciting somebody from Heartland. We've got one gentleman by the name of Paul Schoenecker. I don't know if you haven't been last I
I know
heard.
the name.
Yeah, you all, Pedlo and Krause said they don't even know who he is, but he's been very helpful and he communicates well. So that was a plus. But currently right now, Grant Ritchie, Meredith Parks, Eric Higby, Paul Schoenecker, and Damian Lanklos, myself comprise that committee. Currently, but obviously no membership from the Northeast, and I guess or the Northwest, right?
Grant Ritchie,
Grant
Texas
Ritchie.
Northwest. Yeah,
Okay.
he's your Northwest.
Okay, gotcha.
Hey, Lori, is there someone you and Andy Ogden can think of to be a representative on the communication committee that could be your Northeast representative? Just think on that for your upcoming May test and chapter meeting.
We'll think about it.
Okay.
I'm not sure. We'll see. Our fall test is our bigger test.
Okay, or fall test, whatever. I think that's about it on the agenda item. Am I correct, you guys?
Yep, that's it.
that's it.
Okay, I think we could probably officially close this 2023 BOD meeting unless there's other questions, comments. Tana, come here because they can't hear you. Sorry. Okay.
Freedom
Yeah, yeah.
Committee is if we do some networking with new people and older members and say, you know of one person that might be interested in our dogs, you know, and have them start talking to a friend that they hunt with or whatever, and just start pushing the information out. And not us trying to do it all on Facebook or whatever, is starting to help network. And this goes on informally anyway, but maybe a little more formally. When you're talking to people about on the breeding committee, do you know other people who might be interested?
We actually, we actually sent people club cards a couple years ago so that they can keep them when they're hunting. They can give them to people. But we might want to do that again. I had one more comment before we close, but I'll let Tana finish.
No, I'm finished.
So we wrote up a sort of standard operating procedure for all the test paperwork, because there's tons of it, and I did send it out to all the test chairs, and hopefully we'll get a little bit better filling out the scorecards has been plummeting. They have not been filled out correctly or very lax and things like that. So hopefully we'll get a better return on that, because it's not, some of them are actually not helpful at all for the breeding committee to look at.
Okay, John McDonough has a comment.
It was about, I don't,
You got to come up here.
You got to come up here. John's going to come up, make a comment.
Come on, John, you need the exercise. Get in there.
Corral, spin corrals.
I had a comment on the apprentice stuff, and I was more, the word that we use to fill out the test. Is there a way to get a cheat sheet, or did you do that with the apprentices? Give them a cheat sheet? Because I've always struggled with the words that the club wants to see on the form. You know, I know you did.
I'll just run it by the judge.
It would just be nice as a newer judge, to sometimes miss the words that we're looking for on the paperwork.
Talking about first.
Yes.
I've got like a.
Well, we kind of got away from the strict on
You
the,
can't read the whole paragraph, but I have like.
we have the 4 terms for home and all. I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, like when we describe how they go out and go back on the track, and there's just certain ways that the judges like to see that written down or spoken. And I always struggle with that a little bit. My terms are different than yours because I have a way different background. So sometimes I relax back to my old thoughts, and my description of you would call Tom is different than what I call it. So.
Right.
Anyway, I was just looking for that.
That's not the problem with the scorecards. The scorecards is people aren't filling them out. They're not signing them. They're not writing on the back at all. They're just putting a couple numbers on the front. It's not clear how they came to whatever number they came to. Those are the problems. What you're saying, if you wrote something, I'd be super happy.
So, Lori, I agree. When I'm doing the scorecard for the GDS, the bottom parts, a lot of times they're
We just lost John.
what I've done in the past is when I have apprentice judges with me and I ask them the first thing, if we did the search, okay, what do you think of the search? And I simply ask, read me what you wrote. And that kind of encourages them to actually have to write down something instead of just putting a number.
Yeah.
John, the problem is not as much with the apprentices. They seem to be doing a pretty good job. It's the longtime judges sadly, that we're having the problem with.
Well, maybe as the senior judges, you need to ask them too. What did you write?
Exactly, exactly.
So
I'm a-
Lori, there was a packet sent out for the Southeast test. Do you have the paperwork back from the Southeast test? And how was that compared to the year before Southeast test?
I don't have the paperwork back, and it's gotta be better than the year before because they didn't get good printouts on the year before.
Well, we spent a great deal of time trying to fill out the forms in an appropriate manner. And I'll be interested to see whether that's an improvement or not.
Yeah, I can tell you it's a vast improvement, 100%. So, and Lori should have them within the next week.
I'm
Okay.
gonna say, can I just finish sort of with John's comment as far as helping these apprentices understand they need to write things down that they see, the observations, not just a number. My way of also encouraging apprentices to write down what they see in observations is twofold. One, you need to be able to defend your position, explain your thought process, why if you have a 3 and everyone has a 4, why you think it's a 3. It's a learning thing, so to be able to defend your position. And secondly, quite frankly, on busy days where we have 6 or 7 dogs in a group, you're going to forget. At the end, you're not going to remember. You're going to confuse dogs. So write your stuff down. It takes a few moments and write it down. So I agree with you, John. The apprentices got to write things down. So, okay, I think we're just about done. So, okay.
Yeah.
Can I- Quick update, my wife had total knee replacement 5 weeks ago and she's in therapy right now. Things are going really well.
All right,
Yay.
fantastic.
Yay. Great to hear.
So following up with a motion to adjourn.
Second,
All those in favor?
I
Sorry.
All right.
see you guys. Have a good test.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. Bye.
Have a good test. Take lots of pictures.
ADJOURN.
No more free puppies.
Somebody paid
That's so.
Whoa.
Angie, I'll send you an email.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Angie, for helping.
There's his check.
Whoa, there's the check.
Take a
Everybody see
picture.
it?
That's why you had sad eyes.
Yeah.
It's kind of rubbery.
Yeah.
Jane. I have 8 pages of notes I'll send to you.
Thanks, Angie. I have it recorded and I'll work to get the recording, hopefully on the website for other people to, listen to.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thanks.
everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
What's the plan?